Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I would do an overview of an ink that I have two bottles of. I have them right here. Let me grab them awkwardly. And it's a Herbin ink. Let me see if it focuses. Okay. It's a Herbin ink and it's Emerald of Chivor or Emeraude de Chivor. I don't really know how to pronounce the French name. French was never my strong suit, so I'm not gonna try again. I'm just gonna say Emerald of Chivor. And I have two bottles and both are open and like being used. And there's a reason for that. Namely that I took the shimmer out of one of these bottles and I wanted to show you the shimmerless version and like the version with shimmer. Recently, or like for the last year or so, sheen inks have become super popular. So people love sheen. Like sheen is the different color that you see when you lay on an ink very thick, that's very saturated. Blues tend to sheen red, greens sheen red, and then you have purples. The purples can go green or gold, and it's just an extra touch, an extra interesting feature to an ink. And ink makers have been trying to actually make inks with that special property. It used to be just a thing that happened, like ink makers would not really seek it out, but now there are like sheen series. Inks are being brought out to actually just sheen super heavily. You have KWZ Sheen Machine. I think there's even two of them, and then there's some diamine inks that are sheen inks specifically. I've always been really into sheen. I sometimes jokingly call myself the Sheen Queen Supreme. I'm not really that interested in an ink if it doesn't actually sheen. It's really weird. I've always had that because like one of my first ink loves was a Diamine Majestic Blue, and Diamine Sargasso Sea was also on that list. Both are really nice blues that sheen red, and I loved that property. So I really just find that beautiful. Like that base is blue and then there's like red on the really saturated parts. I like it. It's like a metallic sheen. Anyway, Emerald of Chivor was one of my loves, but I do not always like shimmer, and Emerald of Chivor is a shimmer ink. I think Herbin did some of the first shimmer inks, and this is one of them. There was a big hype around this ink. There are other sheening inks now that kind of do the same thing without shimmer, but I think it's still a really good ink that doesn't really get talked about anymore, not enough at least. So I'm gonna do a video about it. I did not ink up 6 TWSBI Ecos to show you writing samples. I have a pen inked up with the shimmerless version. I'm just gonna show you some swabs and swatches and show you the difference between the shimmerless and the shimmer one, and talk about my experience with this ink, because the sheen is not the only thing that makes me love it. Anyway, let's go look at what is lying right there. Right there. Okay, switch a shot. Alright, I have two bottles here. One is without shimmer and one is with shimmer. Now, when I say it's without shimmer, it is mostly without shimmer, because the method I use to de-shimmer it is not foolproof. But whenever I look at the bottle and use the ink, I don't really see any shimmer. So I'm calling it shimmer free. This is the shimmer version. As you can see, it's going to disperse, of course, but there is shimmer in here. And Emerald of Chivor has gold shimmer. There it is again. This bottle is kind of dirty, but as you can see, ink on the side is sheening because the base ink is like a tealy green, and that looks red. So this is the bottle width. This is my bottle that does not have any shimmer. As you can see, nowhere is any shimmer particles. This bottle, what I did to it is I actually just let it sit like on the right side for a while, Then I proceeded to use a syringe to take all of the ink out without disturbing the shimmer that is in there. And I then decanted, like I put all the non-shimmery ink into a different bottle. I was then left with like 5 milliliters of super shimmery ink, gave it to someone else, and then cleaned out the bottle and put it back in here. So that is how I have a non-shimmery Emerald of Chivor. As you can see, these bottles both are dirty. I should have cleaned them, but I didn't, so I'm gonna just get inky. So yeah, I did that because I love this ink color. I really love it. I don't love the shimmer in this. There's 2 reasons I don't love the shimmer. One, shimmer is just a hassle to clean out. There are some shimmer inks that I use. I love Diamine Arctic Blue. For that one, I deal with it. But I just don't enjoy it very much. And the second thing is, this has gold shimmer. And I like shimmer inks when it's silver or a cool tone shimmer. So this is just not my favorite. Do still have the shimmer version because why not? But this non-shimmer version is the one that actually gets use. Now, of course, these inks look different. Lovely bottles, by the way, with a wax seal on them. 1670 is a specialty line by Herbin. And there's wax on the caps too. Anyway, they look different when swabbed, so I'll do that for you, or I'll show you what I did, and then I'll do a writing sample with it, because I do have a pen inked with it, but I don't have the shimmer version right now. Anyway, let's start with Rhodia. This is Rhodia Ice. It's the white Rhodia paper. Can I zoom out more? I can a little bit. So here we have Tomoe River. Tomoe River looks very different. Let's get to the Rhodia first though. So here we have the non-shimmer version, and here we have the shimmer version. And as you can see, the non-shimmer version looks way more cool toned, which I love, than the shimmer version. And that is of course because the shimmer version has gold specks in it. Lots of gold specks. And of course, this is laid on quite heavily right here. But in normal writing, you do see the shimmer. In the dots, you see the shimmer. And for those of you who love shimmer, get your shimmer on with this ink. It is lovely, but it's not my favorite. Sheen is really hard to spot on this paper and with the shimmer version. With the non-shimmer version, there are some spots where there is sheen on the Rhodia paper, but not as many as on Tomoe River. As you might know, I am a fervent Tomoe River user, so, I mean, I always see sheen. This is a non-shimmering one. As you can see, I hope you can see, there's just not any shimmer there. The syringe method is fairly effective in eliminating the shimmer. Anyway, let me pull this page out so I can put them next to each other in a second. After we look at the Tomoe River, this is 52 GSM Tomoe River, and this is where this ink really shines. So on the shimmer sample, you see both shimmer and sheen, and it is all around lovely. Again, it looks a little more warm toned because that gold shimmer is in there. This is the non-shimmer version. As you can see, it is all nice and sheeny, and I just love this color. There are other inks like Organic Studio, I think it's Walden Pond or something, that have a similar effect, that sheen like this, are a similar color, although I think it's a little bit more green. But I find the Organic Studio inks problematic and not worth using. So I'd rather stick with this. Alternatively, you could go to Diamine November Rain, lovely green with a nice red sheen. But this is my favorite. And the reason is that it flows so well. There is some type of lubrication in this ink, and then I think it's because they want the shimmer to flow well, that actually makes this ink leak out of pens for me. So I've had this ink in several pens. It doesn't seem to work for me in piston fillers because I have a Mont Blanc, I think it's a 22, it's a vintage one, and I inked it up with Emerald of Chivor without shimmer, and it just leaked out. And then I have had Ecos, TWSBI Ecos inked up with the shimmer-free version of this, leaks out. It just drips, right? So there is something about this ink that is super, super lubricated. So you could say, oh, but that's a really big downside. Ink is leaking out of your nib. Why would you want that? It is, for some people, downside, but I love it because it's just wet. I love the feeling of writing with a wet ink. Okay. I recently re-inked my Sailor. This is a Sailor with a zoom nib, and I think it's very suitable to use this ink in this pen. And of course it's a very broad nib, but whatever, we're just gonna do a writing sample. This is Emerald of Chivor, and it is by Herbin. Alright, so this is the not really sheeny paper, the Rhodia. I'll grab some Tomoe River in a second. Let me do this. Doesn't really look that wet, right? It just flows so well. It's like super flow to the max. Love doing that. This ink, I have not tested it recently, but it's not waterproof at all. This ink is not waterproof. It's very saturated. It is a smudger, but I love it. Let's let that dry and see if the sheen shows up in a normal writing sample. And let's go to some Tomoe River that I have here. It's a loose page. I'm gonna put it on these pages because otherwise it's gonna be really awkward to write. Emerald Chivor. Feels so nice to write with. So lubricated. I love it. Let me see if I could do the same. It's really hard to have like you can see the wetness there. Because it lies on the paper so much, on this paper, it just smudges right off. That's great. To be fair, this does not take as long to dry as the Organic Studio inks do. The Organic Studio inks are even more saturated. I would say this is like a good sheener, but it's not like the most intense sheening ink. But it is good enough, and it remains a well-behaved ink, which is important to a lot of us. Okay, let me see if the Rhodia actually sheens. Okay, I think that I'm just never lucky with Rhodia paper. It does not seem to sheen a lot, and where it does sheen, like on the heavy parts, it's not really showing up on camera. There's a reason I don't love Rhodia paper. This is one of the reasons. It has this dried. That is the question. It is still wet, but I don't know if you can see on the emerald there's a red sheen. It's really hard to show today, guys. It might be the lighting because I'm filming in an environment where there isn't a lot of fake lighting. Please, please. Oh, there we go. There's some sheen right there. Just gotta get the paper in the right direction. Anyway, lovely ink. One of my favorites, especially when compared to counterparts like Organic Studio Walden. I think it's Walden Pond. And then Diamine November Rain is also lovely, but it's more green. But yeah. I just wanted to show you, tell you my like way of making it shimmer free. I hope you enjoyed this. It's kind of a weird video because it's not like a full-on ink review, but more of like an overview of what I think of an ink and what I did to an ink. Anyway, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. If you have any comments, also let me know in the comments down below. I'll see you guys soon with a different video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.